All right, guys, it's Thor Sandalwood, and today is May 11th, 2021. And today we're going to be talking more about current events and all the crazy stuff that is already happening this month. You know, I already had predicted in a previous video that May was going to be an intense month because we have Saturn going retrograde, and we're going to talk about that a little more in this presentation. And then we also have a solar eclipse on May 20, or sorry, a lunar eclipse on May 26th in the sign of Scorpio that's really going to be affecting things. Hello guys, I appreciate everyone that's here in the chat today. So thank you guys so much. 567890, thank you very much. And thanks for the information there. So it's been a really crazy month so far, and we're only 11 days into May so far. One of the headlines that I wanted to bring up with you guys was what we're going to do, what I'm going to try to do is, because I think there's going to be a lot of things developing in May, June, July, August. I think we're going to see things starting to move at a very, very fast pace. So if I sound repetitive in any way, it's not meant to be that way. So, you know, like I made a video on the Saturn retrograde before, but we really got to keep ahead of this energy because this energy is going to manifest very quickly. And we're already seeing that with this violence in the Middle East that's happening right now. And I'm appalled to see again these these factions are fighting again. And this is still part of that old system, that old era, the 20th century. Those issues are still being brought to bear right now as we're entering into this new 5D Age of Aquarius type Earth, where we're trying to bring more unity consciousness into everything, but we're still being stuck into those old religious battles and things and those old tensions. Real quick, guys, I wanted to give you guys a planetary situation report. And the oil pipeline was hacked in the U.S. a few days ago. And there's apparently thousands of gas stations out of gas right now. And I guess that keeps on increasing. And Middle East violence heating up in Israel. There's unrest in Colombia. That's one I just found out about today, and it's been going on for a while. May 26th, eclipse in Scorpio, natural 8th house of the zodiac. And you guys remember when I talked about this Scorpio eclipse, what I talked about is that the effects of this eclipse could be felt up to a month before the eclipse and then up to 6 months later after the eclipse. So right now we are in it. We're in a very volatile time. And then with the eclipse and then Jupiter retrograde coming in June, Saturn retrograde coming this month, we know that all of this is a huge energy shift that's coming. And of course, the Earth is increasing its vibration. And so all of that anger and things that we're holding on to, all that anger is going to rise to the surface, okay? One of the things I wanted to go over, guys, was I have a chart of today, which I generated. And we can talk a little bit about the eclipse that's happening on the 26th. And let me grab my little stylus pen right here. But, the natural zodiac, when we talk about the natural zodiac, it starts with Aries right here. Oops. I drew a heart. Maybe that's a synchronicity, huh? That we need to focus more on love, right? Well, anyways, the natural zodiac starts with Aries, and the only reason we started with Aries is because that's traditionally the first sign in the zodiac. So when we're talking about this is the natural order of the signs, even though it's going to be different for every ascendant. So right as of today, this chart is where all the planets are within the zodiac. So the one thing I wanted to show you guys is, remember, with this situation that's going on in Israel, remember we were talking about Mars last month, and remember Mars is in that very volatile sign of Ardra right now. And Ardra is basically the kick I don't even know if I can say that word, but the kick butt god who goes in there and, he's a wrathful god. He's called the god of storms. And, he's here and he means business. So Mars is transiting that nakshatra, or star constellation of Ardra in the zodiac. And so that, I think, is really what's escalating this situation in the Middle East right now. And, Ardra is kind of like the god of war. Mars is the planet of war. And you have those two together, and that's what's manifesting right now in the skies. So I'm trying to follow this energy as it goes, and the more we understand this energy, the more hopefully we can help prepare ourselves, prepare our families, prepare you guys. A lot of my new subscribers, they're interested in the markets and cryptocurrencies, and this is all connected. So things are not, it's not like there's cryptocurrency over here and there's this thing going on over here. Everything's connected in this. We're all connected. Let me go back to my presentation real quick. And also there's this unrest happening before I go catching myself in a side rant. But there's also this unrest in Colombia right now. And I guess there's been a lot of protesters that have been killed. And they're protesting some sort of tax increase because there's a lot of people, because of the pandemic, they're finding themselves in poverty, essentially. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that, we will find more peace. But I think things are going to get a little worse before they get better. And that's the downside of all of this, guys. Let's go to the presentation. Oh, one more thing, guys. I forgot to throw in my little disclaimer, even though we're 8 minutes in. I use the sidereal zodiac, not the Western tropical zodiac, in my predictions. And the predictions are mine alone, videos for entertainment purposes only. And like and subscribe to my channel if you guys like this kind of content. I want to say thank you to all of those who have been requesting readings from my website. It helps my channel out immensely and helps me in the work that I do, and spreading Vedic principles and Dharmic principles around the world. We really want this to grow, and I really want to share my knowledge of astrology with many other people. And next slide for you guys is going to be interested in a reading. Visit my website, thorsandalwood.com. 20% off of the readings, and the coupon code is Thor. And there's been people using it already. And I want to say thank you to everyone doing that. So it's a win-win for everybody when you get a reading. And, it helps me out, and then it helps you guys out because you find more about your karmic path. Because the most important thing about your life right now, even though there's all these world events happening, if you look at your individual karma, that's always going to be the thing that mostly affects you. And so, guys, I remember during last year, we were talking a lot about this thing, the storm. And, I really think that this storm is happening right now in front of our eyes. Like, we thought that when this election happened back in January, that was going to be, that all this stuff was over. But what's really weird is we see the election's over, it ended in January, and then we're seeing things heat up again. So we're seeing the violence in Colombia, in Israel. Now we're seeing the gas shortages. I just read that the corn prices are up 50% for 2021. So we're in this volatile period already, guys. The storm is here, and we are in the storm right now. 1 month before eclipse, that is when we expect the volatility. The earth is raising its vibration, and the anger is being released. Anything being held is coming through the psychic volcano, okay? And I'm also going to go into a little bit of a commentary on some comments that President Biden made today. But let's go first take a look at the chart, because I wanted to remind you guys about, especially if this is like the first time you're watching me or this video, where the eclipse is going to be on May 26th, because this is so important. You guys remember, this is like this chart that I have in front of you is the chart of the planets today. And if we take a look right here, this is the 8th house number 8. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's the 8th house of Scorpio there in the natural zodiac. And this is where the eclipse is going to be happening on May 26th, okay? Now, it's interesting that I draw this because it is going to be affecting up here as well, the 2nd house of Taurus. And remember, Taurus is storage of values. It represents commodities, things like food and farmland, which is interesting enough. So that's where we're heading. So the 8th house, you guys remember the eclipse happening in the natural 8th house of Scorpio. This eclipse is going to be triggering things, sudden things. The 8th house is the house of death and rebirth. It's the house of emergencies, of sudden uprisings, of sudden rises and falls, unexpected events. That's why I expect that we're going to be hearing a lot of crazy news this month. And we also might have some very unexpected news happening this month and continuing into the future. Because remember, we looked at a lot of those trigger dates as well. So this is really a time for everybody to prepare. And the food prices are rising and the commodity prices are rising. I do think, as I've said, and I've been doing the cryptocurrencies, I think that's an awesome, amazing digital asset to have yourself, guys, or invest in, guys, because it's an asset, just like gold or silver is. You know, I have some silver that I'm holding onto as well, and I just started investing in things like Ethereum and Bitcoin and Litecoin and all those things. But basically, I'm expecting some unrest to be happening shortly here. So I'm going to switch slides really fast. We're going to talk a little bit, guys, about something that President Biden said today. And I didn't know if you guys caught that, but it was President Biden said, anyone collecting unemployment who is offered a suitable job must take that job or lose unemployment benefits. Biden said, with several exceptions, that means people do not have to choose between their safety and a paycheck. So there is this narrative coming out, and Biden is already announcing this, that they are going to be removing those unemployment checks and those extra benefits very soon. And I think this is a lot related to this retrograde Saturn. This is going to be a removal of government benefits. And this is going to be affecting the whole world, not just the United States. And I think that's where we're going to see a lot of the problems. You see, the problem is that the powers that be, the people, remember, Saturn represents the establishment, the banks, governments, different things like that. They're trying to hold on to this old order. Think about how life was 5 years ago, or just 2 years ago before this pandemic. There's these controllers at the top that are really trying to hold on to that. And the problem is that this thing is permanently changed, guys. This thing, it's never coming back. Whatever was going on 2 years ago, it's over. It's done. And today I had the honor of watching Tony Robbins and Dean Grazio. They're doing a free live seminar that they put on Facebook today. And they were talking about this, about getting involved in the new way that things are going to be moving forward. And the new thing moving forward is going to be, everything is going to be digital. So the thing about Biden coming out and talking about people having these suitable jobs, I don't think a lot of these jobs are going to appear. So that's where we're going to see a lot of the unrest and the problems coming up that I foresee in the next, over this summer. We're probably going to start seeing some of the events having to do with that. But then we're going to have things like the rent moratoriums and things that are ending very soon. So this is really a time to prepare. There is good news at the end of this, but think about it. It's like we have a lot of traumas as a planet, as a world. We have a lot of traumas and issues that have never been dealt with. And if you look at the issue with, say, like the Israelis and the Palestinians right now, and this fighting that's happening right now, these are a lot of unhealed issues that need to be healed moving forward into this new age that we're all going into, this age of Aquarius, this new 5D reality where we're going to be coming from the head to a more heart-centered. So this is a very important time. Let me show you guys more about Saturn. Remember, guys, it's going to be going retrograde May 23rd, 2021 through October 11th, 2021. Okay, so that's going to be 5 months. That's a long time. These planets are very slow moving. It takes Saturn 2.5 years for it to transit a sign. So when Saturn first entered Capricorn, that was in January of 2020, we had the pandemic start. And that's why I think this is going to be the same theme all the way till April of 2022, when Saturn finally enters the sign of Aquarius. So that's quite a long time. But remember what's going on in the sign of Capricorn right now. We have Pluto in Capricorn. And Pluto is the sign of revolutions, of things changing. And that's what's making all of this stuff so volatile right now. So it's almost like we're trying to shake the shackles of this old age, and we're trying to embrace this new age, but it has a lot of speed bumps we're hitting, a lot of things we're having a lot of problems. There's a lot of things that need to be healed in the collective consciousness. So let's read a little more. Expect more unraveling when Saturn goes retrograde, because remember, guys, Saturn represents the government. It represents authority. It represents authority structures. Government support possibly removed, unemployment benefits, end of rent moratoriums. This is all going to be happening in the next 5 months. Problem is, things will never go back to the way they were before pandemic. The era is already gone. Think Pluto and Capricorn. So this is the change we're going through. So I think a lot of these things, like what we're seeing in Colombia, it's a precursor to a lot of things that are going to be happening around the world. So yes, I want to be hopeful and optimistic, because we do need to stay positive, because the people that are trying to keep us in that Saturn fear mode, we definitely don't want to go to fear. We don't want to be in fear. We need to keep our vibrations high. And we need to keep those vibrations high through meditation, through drinking a lot of water, through keeping ourselves healthy. Those are the things we can do to raise our vibration during this time, because things are pretty tough right now. The next thing that's going to happen, and I haven't talked about this too much yet, and I'm going to talk about this, in my next videos, but we're going to talk about this especially in the June 2021 predictions that we're talking about, is going to be Jupiter's going retrograde. But remember, guys, this is a whole energy shift that's happening. So we have Saturn that's going to be going retrograde May 23rd, but then June 20th, when Jupiter goes retrograde, think about these major outer planets going retrograde. This represents a huge energy shift we're going through. Jupiter retrograde, June 20th, 2021 through October 17th, 2021. The grace is being withheld. The natural 11th house of Aquarius. Political rallies also are part of the 11th house. The political backlash. So that's what I'm expecting with this Jupiter going retrograde in Aquarius in June 20th. Is we're going to see a lot more political rallies. I'm thinking we're going to see a lot more protest. A lot of protest around the world with what's happening. I don't think there's going to be quite enough jobs for everybody. And we are transitioning. We're transitioning to a new age right now. And things are digital. We're in the information age right now. People aren't going to be going back to those brick and mortar jobs. There's not going to be as many of them anymore. And then a lot of them, the problem with a lot of those jobs is they don't pay enough anymore. And that's been the problem for a long time, hasn't it? The wages have been stagnating. Things haven't been, especially in the United States, people haven't been living that American dream that people so much want to have. So let me go pull up the chart, guys, because I was going to show you a little bit of the Saturn situation. And let me clean that up for you guys. So we have the eclipse. Remember, that's happening May 26th. That represents a huge energy shift by itself. And then we have right here in Capricorn, you see where Saturn is? And remember, this is a chart of today, guys. So we got Mr. Saturn right here. And this is the 10th house. So remember, the 10th house is going to always represent, the 10th house represents government. It represents the authority. Think of like top-down pyramid structures, corporations. That's the thing that Saturn represents. The issue is, and I don't have it in the chart, is remember guys, we have also, it doesn't show here, but we also have Pluto there. They don't use Pluto in traditional Vedic astrology, but they do use it in Western astrology. So we have Saturn's going to be going backwards, so that order, we've been feeling like even though things haven't been that great for the last year, we kind of felt like things were kind of stable. We kind of felt like, you know, like, okay, we're kind of seeing that there's some light at the end of this. You know, last summer in 2020, we saw some unrest, but, you know, and then it kind of tapered off for a while, you know. But I think right now, this is when we're going to start seeing things heat up again, guys. And like I said in some of my previous predictions, with this eclipse in Scorpio, 8th house of secrets, think about the secrets we're going to learn. Think about the weird, mysterious things that have been happening. 8th house is mysterious. We've been seeing weird reports in the last year. Last year, we heard about a Tic Tac UFO that the Pentagon said really did exist. There was a Tic Tac UFO. Just recently, they released reports of these pyramid-shaped UFOs. So we are living in very mysterious times. We're living in mysterious times of food shortages, of unrest, of UFOs even. Think of how weird that is, guys. And when we look at Jupiter, so we know that we have the eclipse happening there, guys. And then we have this Pluto, Saturn's going to go retrograde. And then we have Jupiter here. And this is the 11th house. And that's going to be going retrograde. You know what's interesting, guys, is when a planet's traveling through a chart, it's usually going this way. So Saturn is normally traveling that way, okay? It travels clockwise in the Vedic astrology chart. When they go retrograde, the planets are actually going to go this way, backwards, okay? And that's what it represents, really. It really represents that energy going backwards. You know, if you look into the night sky and you were to track Jupiter and Saturn, you'll actually see it look like they're moving and then they go backwards. And the reason why retrograde planets can be not really an issue, but that the energy changes is because the planets don't keep up with the events that are happening on the planet Earth, the planet we are on, right? So when Saturn can't keep up with the events, think of what Saturn represents. Law and order. Think of it not being able to keep up with everything going on. And let me go back to the presentation, guys. So we have the political backlash. Remember, guys, 11th, I just switch it back. Remember, guys, the 11th house in Vedic astrology represents political rallies, politics, represents networks of people, represents networks like the internet. Could we see problems with the internet? Look, we have a cyber attack on this pipeline in the United States. And then we have Jupiter going backwards in the sign of which represents networks, political rallies. It even represents the internet. So expect more volatility there. There could be more cyber attacks, different things like that. So we got to be careful. We got to prepare, guys. And my message for you guys really is to be prepared. It never hurts to buy some more essentials. I talked about the corn prices being up in 50% in 2021. Food prices, Rahu and Taurus, are on a trend to increase in price. Saturn and Jupiter retrograde, more instability with the things happening. So I do see, I don't know if I see the, like, you know, people are saying they see famines and different things. You know what it's going to be, guys? That if there is food scarcity, it's going to be on, there's always food on the shelves. It's just that, can people afford to buy it? That's going to be the issue. Remember Rahu, the great exaggerator. He's going through the sign of Taurus right now. The prices of food, of commodities, things about lumber, things like that, have been increasing exponentially. And let me read, I think I saw something in the chat. Pluto is the last extra Saturnine planet in astrology who is named as the Yama in Indian Nadi astrology. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I think that, Pluto's important to look at, especially because, you know what I look at? Even though the ancient Vedic astrology only uses 7 planets, till the planets you can see all the way to Saturn, what I think is because planets like Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, because now in 2021, those planets are in our consciousness and we're aware of those planets, I think they still have value. But usually when I do like a reading for people, it's going to be using just traditional Vedic astrology. Now, sometimes I'll add the planets like in an individual reading to get a little more information in a chart. But when I'm looking at this more generalized reading where we're looking at the whole planet, we really have to look at a lot of things because it's really hard to make general predictions. So we have to look at a lot of factors. And guys, when we're in this time right now, this time of uncertainty, of the eclipse happening in Scorpio on the 26th and these retrograde planets, we're going through an energy shift. And this is all for our greatest good, this energy shift. And we're all being brought to face a lot of our inner demons. So this isn't even about the outer world. Remember that the outer world is a reflection of what's going on in our inner worlds. So there's a lot of things that we have to heal within ourselves, because the planets are just energy patterns and reflections of ourselves. And this is a time of healing, and this is a lot of emotional traumas. Think of what Scorpio means. Emotional traumas coming to the surface so that they can be healed. And hopefully we have the consciousness to heal those things. Right now is a great time, if you haven't gotten into meditation, to start trying out meditation. And I wanted to share with you guys a quote from the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, guys, is one of the scriptures from ancient India. And the Bhagavad Gita says, when meditation is mastered, the mind is unwavering like the flame of a lamp in a windless space. In the still mind, in the depths of meditation, the self reveals itself. And this is what we have to keep in mind during this time, is that we can always meditate and we can always go within. We can always find our own sanctuary, our own ashram to be in, and really sink ourselves deep into that resting place of the heart, because that's where we need to be. So no matter what kind of outer chaos is going around in the world, we can always rest within the heart and really realize the self, guys. I think that's it for the presentation for today. But if you guys have any questions or comments in the chat, please let me know, because this is just such an interesting time. And I have to make more videos following the events. And when I saw all the images of the news media today with what was going on in Colombia and what's going on in Israel, I'm like, wow, it's already happening. This stuff is happening right now. Let's see if there's any more questions in the chat. Let's see. I refuse to get my protein from bugs. That's what Kalima Namaha says. Stock up on legumes. They are going through the roof. Yep. That's always a good thing to stock up on. I always think the best thing to stock up on when you're preparing is stuff like rice and beans, the basics, right? I even have flour that I've been storing and different things. I think water is going to be an issue. If you guys live in areas where, there's not a lot of water, stock up on water. So I see this summer being a very hot summer and more things happening. So guys, keep yourselves prepared. I'm looking through some of the comments, guys. Like, check out who's appointed as cybersecurity. According to him, she has a great cyber knowledge, done a lot of work. Wow, okay. So I think, guys, we do have to be careful with the cyber attacks. That's for sure. It looks like one of my things went blank for a second here. Okay. But yeah, the cyber attack thing I do see being an issue, especially with Jupiter going retrograde. And Jupiter being retrograde in Aquarius does seem to, because Aquarius represents networks, that there could be more cyber attacks coming. Oh, I know. We will start looking like beanstalks the rate the economy is going. Yeah, this is the inflation right now is definitely, I mean, at first I thought that it might have been being over exaggerated, the inflation that's happening, but now we're really starting to see it. And this thing is, and I think that's going to be, so we have obviously the planets, the energies that are affecting what's going to be happening this month and throughout the summer. But then we also have, how do the planets affect things? Well, the planets are causing a chain of events. Food prices are going up. There's inflation. People are, their unemployment's getting cut off. So it causes a chain of events for things. So I think that's what my update for you guys. Bank of England said cryptos will go to zero. Hope the bank is wrong. Ooh, I don't like that at all. Cryptos will go to zero. This is a time, guys. You guys gotta, stay smart, stay on top of everything. Like even though I have been doing my cryptocurrency and I love doing the cryptocurrencies predictions for everybody, guys. Obviously, you got to use your head. Like if you see the world, there's lots of things going on. Always be cautious with that stuff. It never hurts to be cautious with some of this stuff, and always diversify, obviously. Guys, thank you guys so much. I'm going to end this video. Tomorrow, we will be doing another video at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you guys for coming for this video. Namaste. I wish you many blessings, guys. If you guys are watching this after the fact, comment down below and let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much, guys, and many blessings. I'll see you guys in the next video.